Well, I grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina, where the sit-in demonstrations began at the lunch counter, Cresses.
Ain't gonna let nobody load it. Turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody load it. Turn me round.
So yes, I was very much a part of the Congress of Racial Equality. I was on a negotiating team, and I was very much engaged in various activities around the civil rights movement in Greensboro, North Carolina, and other places in North Carolina. But without hesitation, I made the decision to join the Peace Corps because it was really consistent with my interests professionally, the opportunity to travel overseas. And in Peace Corps training, out of 66 men who trained for Indian 9 at Oregon State University in 1964, I was the only one of color. More often than not, I was mistaken for an Indian. I can recall one evening, my Peace Corps partner and I went to the American Embassy in New Delhi. And in those days, you had to carry an identification card identifying the fact that you were a Peace Corps volunteer. And my partner and I, we had a tendency to identify with Sikhs. And this particular night, we're both wearing turbans. So my head was completely covered. And we walked up to the entrance of the auditorium in the American Embassy, in the main chancery. And the Marine Guard standing there said, "Sorry, but Indians are not allowed." And I smiled, I whipped out my Peace Corps identification card, and he looked at me and he says, "Okay," because it had a photograph on it. He says, "You look just like an Indian, you know, with that turban on."
Joining the Peace Corps gave me the opportunity to sort of be a part of something bigger than myself. You know, it was like what was going on in America, in the world at that time, and really, in an international sense, it was apartheid. And Peace Corps opening up in South Africa and going to South Africa, you know, literally 2 years after the fall of apartheid and being a part of that group, I got to be a part of history in the making.
Sí, tenemos mandioca. ¿Y qué vemos acá en esta parte?
It is more of a curiosity coming here as a black woman because they've only really seen black people on TV.
Sí.
So it's like bringing to reality something that they've never seen before. I can definitely see everything changing about me. I try to keep a journal, so you can definitely see when you look back on the past entries, you can definitely see yourself changing.
Here in Ecuador, the poorest class are Afro-Ecuadorians and indigenous people. And since I'm also African American, they see me and they think that I'm from here. So that has been a great obstacle for me to overcome a lot of these prejudices. But I think by me working in the areas where Afro-Ecuadorians live, I've been able to help these people realize that they can do whatever that they desire. ¿Cuántos huevos van?
4.
Yeah. For me to be able to work in these communities and kind of help these people, like motivate them, increase their self-esteem has been a great deal for me.
¿Cómo se va? I feel honored to be a representative of the African American community here in not only in Benin, West Africa, but just in Peace Corps in general, and to educate people on my life in the States as an African American. My first assumption was, wow, I'm gonna go back to the quote-unquote motherland and see, you know, where I came from and so on and so forth, and it's a complete shock when many times they don't believe that I'm a black American because of the fact that I might have a lighter complexion than what they have imagined most black Americans to have. They expect them to maybe look like Africans here in Africa in general, or Benin. If I say that I'm African American, I'll be asked which one of my parents is African, which one is American. Most of the Beninese people who I've run into have just wanted to learn more about me, my culture, where I come from. I found that they've been wonderful people. try to be very accommodating, and they're very understanding.
There's no question that the Peace Corps, both in terms of overseas and in terms of Peace Corps opportunities here in the United States, offered minority Americans more opportunities. The Peace Corps has a long-standing history of commitment to a diverse Peace Corps, commitment to an open and inclusive Peace Corps, commitment to attracting as many Americans of color as possible.